Archaeological findings are crucial for understanding the history and culture of ancient civilizations. In Egypt, these discoveries have shed new light on the daily lives, beliefs, and practices of the ancient Egyptians. From tombs and temples to artifacts and inscriptions, these findings provide valuable insights into the world of the pharaohs. Fresh findings in Egypt's ancient tombs shock archaeologists and history buffs as mysteries continue to be unveiled. Here are some new discoveries in Egypt that scare scientists. Egyptologists discovered this 3,500-year-old box next to the pyramids that contain this secret. The discovery of a 3,500-year-old treasure chest near Deir al-Bahari in Egypt sent waves of excitement through the archaeological community. Near the well-known temple of Egypt's female pharaoh Hatshepsut, Polish archaeologists uncovered this nearly 3,500-year-old chest buried beneath some rock debris in 2020. The archaeologists were working under the direction of Professor Andrzej Nowicki of the Institute of Archaeology of the University of Warsaw when they came across a stone chest and a bundle that had been stuffed inside a rock cavity close to the Hatshepsut temple in Deir al-Bahari, Egypt. According to Professor Nowicki, the chest is about 40 centimeters long. It was perfectly hidden, looking like an ordinary stone block. Only after closer scrutiny it turned out that it was in fact a chest. The stone container held a few items that were wrapped in linen. A sacrificed goose's skeleton was found first in the bundle, while a goose egg was hidden in the second. The third bundle contained another egg, most likely from an ibis, that was wrapped in canvas and placed inside a wooden casket. Yet another bundle was found next to the stone chest. This time the package hid a tiny wooden box with another bundle inside it. A shrine-shaped faience box with the hieroglyphic name of Pharaoh Thutmose II on it was found inside. As per Professor Nowicki, the objects placed inside this box were an allusion to Thutmose II's titles and names. According to the archaeologist, Thutmose II was the husband of the famous Queen Hatshepsut and reigned for 3 years before his death. The discovery of this treasure chest has given researchers valuable insights into the culture and beliefs of the ancient Egyptians and has helped to shed new light on the history of this fascinating civilization. Deir al-Bahari is an important ancient Egyptian temple complex located in Luxor, Egypt. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is considered one of the most important architectural and archaeological sites in Egypt. The complex is famous for its well-preserved mortuary temple of Queen Hatshepsut, one of the few female pharaohs in ancient Egypt. The temple is adorned with beautiful reliefs and inscriptions that tell the story of Hatshepsut's reign and her relationship with the gods. The complex also contains the tomb of Pharaoh Amenhotep II, as well as several other tombs and temples. Its rich history and beautiful architecture make it a must-see destination for anyone interested in ancient Egyptian culture. Falcon Shrine. A falcon shrine was recently discovered by a joint research team from the Spanish University of Barcelona, the Polish Center of Mediterranean Archaeology, and the American University of Delaware in the ancient Egyptian seaport of Berenike on the western shore of the Red Sea. According to the findings of a study published in the American Journal of Archaeology on October 6, 2022, the research team discovered a tomb in the port during excavations. It dates back to the late Roman period, the 4th to 6th centuries AD, a period when the city appeared to be partially occupied and controlled by the Blemmyes. The Blemmyes were a group of Nubian nomads who were expanding their ranges throughout the majority of Egypt's eastern desert at the time. The tomb was described by the archaeological team as a small traditional Egyptian crypt that the Blemmyes adapted to their own belief system. According to the study, the findings were quite remarkable, including spears, cube-shaped statues, and a stela or slab bearing inscriptions related to falcon worship. Inside the cemetery, 15 falcons were discovered, the majority of which were beheaded. Although burials of falcons for religious purposes had previously been observed in the Nile Valley, this is the first time researchers had discovered falcons buried inside a temple and accompanied by eggs. The study claims this finding to be completely unprecedented. Researchers had previously discovered mummified headless falcons at other locations, but only as individual specimens, not in groups as with the new discovery in Berenike. The study's principal investigator, Joan Ola Guzman, wrote in a report that was posted on the University of Barcelona's website on October 6 that all of these elements point to intense ritual activities combining Egyptian traditions with contributions from the Blemmyes, sustained by a theological base possibly related to the worshipping of the god Khonsu, who was represented in ancient Egypt as a man with a falcon's head. Hussein Abdel-Basir, director of the Antiquities Museum at the Bibliotheca Alexandrina, explained that the falcon was of great importance to ancient Egyptians as it represented the god Horus, the famous symbol of the Egyptian religion that complements the Egyptian Holy Trinity alongside Isis and Osiris. He emphasized that the discovery proves that Egyptian beliefs persisted for protracted periods, extending to the Greco-Roman era, and that the Egyptians revered the falcon for its power and prowess in flight. The odd thing, though, is that these falcons were discovered, beheaded, and buried inside a temple, according to Abdel-Basir. According to him, usually the animal or bird was completely buried and not beheaded inside dedicated cemeteries, as is found in the Saqqara region, one of Egypt's most significant archaeological sites, close to the Giza Governorate, south of Cairo. 4,300-foot-long tunnel. Egyptologists discovered an underground tunnel at Taposiris Magna, a temple dedicated to Osiris, the god of death. Kathleen Martinez, an archaeologist with the University of Santo Domingo, discovered the 6.5-foot-tall, 4,300-feet-long tunnel, roughly 43 feet underground, at the temple west of Alexandria. She also discovered 2 Ptolemaic-era alabaster statues and several ceramic vessels and pots, according to Sarah Cascone of ArtNet. In a statement in November 2022, the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities announced the discovery and called the tunnel a geometric miracle. The fact that a portion of the tunnel is underwater may be due to the numerous earthquakes that occurred in the area between 320 and 1303 CE. Archaeologists think that these calamities were what brought the temple down. According to Martinez, the tunnel is an exact replica of the Eupalinos tunnel in Greece, which is regarded as one of the most significant engineering achievements of antiquity. On the Greek island of Samos in the eastern Aegean Sea, there is a structure known as the Tunnel of Eupalinos that served as an aqueduct for more than 1,000 years. Archaeologists discovered numerous other artifacts at the location during earlier excavations, including coins bearing the names and likenesses of Alexander the Great and Cleopatra VII. In addition, they discovered statues of the goddess Isis, figurines, a gold-tongued mummy, and a cemetery full of mummies in the Greco-Roman style. In 30 BCE, Cleopatra, who ruled Ptolemaic Egypt from 51 to 30 BC, as well as her longtime partner Roman general Mark Antony, committed suicide. Although they are probably interred together, historians are unsure of their location. Martinez, a former criminal defense attorney who is now an archaeologist, has long held that the ancient queen was buried at the Taposiris Magna temple. She started digging after being granted permission to do so by the Egyptian government. Although she hasn't yet located Cleopatra's tomb, she has made numerous other significant discoveries over the past 15 or so years, including the tunnel. Sarcophagus of Ptah Emweer. The Ptah Emweer coffin was recently discovered in its underground burial chamber at Saqqara in late 2022, and it's featured in a television documentary. The sarcophagus, discovered close to Cairo, is dubbed by archaeologists as a dream discovery. It has been preserved for a long period of time inside a burial chamber. Archaeologists are in awe of this remarkable Egyptian sarcophagus discovered near Cairo, deep beneath the sand. The massive granite sarcophagus is covered in inscriptions honoring Ptah Emweer, the head of King Ramses II's treasury and Egypt's most powerful pharaoh. It was found in Saqqara, an ancient necropolis about 20 miles south of Cairo, by Ola El Aguizi, an emeritus professor of the Faculty of Archaeology at Cairo University. Ptah Emweer's tomb was discovered by El Aguizi at a surface level in 2021. She is in charge of the site's archaeological mission. Now that she has discovered his sarcophagus and underground burial chamber, they may be able to learn more about the people who ruled Egypt after Tutankhamun. El Aguizi's team discovered the top of a vertical shaft in the middle of the tomb's courtyard, which might have been a doorway leading to a burial chamber. but because the shaft was so deep, about 8 meters, it took a week to manually winch ropes with a bucket attached to remove all the sand. El-Aguizi then crammed herself inside that bucket and started to slowly and dangerously descend the shaft. She was shocked to see the sarcophagus at the bottom. It is extremely uncommon to discover a complete sarcophagus in its original tomb. It was exciting to find this sarcophagus in its original location in the burial shaft because it was the owner of the tomb, which is not always the case, El-Aguizi told The Observer. Sometimes when a tomb has been used in later periods, the sarcophagus is for a different person from a later era. However, that is not the case this time. According to the professor, Ptah Emwea's titles written in hieroglyphs emphasize his closeness to the king and demonstrate that he played a very important role in the administration of that time. She continued by pointing out that the sarcophagus is inscribed with the images of gods, including the sky goddess Nut, who is depicted on the lid of the chest with her wings open to protect the deceased. Now her team will investigate it to learn the entire account of Ptah Emwea's life. Peter Demanuelian, professor of Egyptology at Harvard University, described Saqqara as one of the most important cemeteries for both royals and non-royals throughout the millennia of Egyptian history. 2,500-year-old treasure trove. Bronze statues, mummies, and documents written in hieroglyphics that are thought to contain passages from the Book of the Dead have all been discovered by archaeologists in a treasure trove of 2,500-year-old Egyptian artifacts. History buffs all over the world have been enthralled by the stunning discovery made in May 2022 at the renowned Saqqara necropolis close to Cairo, Egypt. A total of 250 coffins, 150 bronze statues, amulets, and a perfectly preserved papyrus with hieroglyphic writing were discovered. There were statues of the gods Anubis, Amun, Min, Osiris, Nefertum, Isis, Bastet, and Hathor discovered, along with a headless statue of the Saqqara Pyramid's architect Imhotep. The Djoseh Step Pyramid, one of the earliest pyramids in ancient Egypt, was constructed by Imhotep, who reigned during the 3rd millennium BC and served as the pharaoh Djoseh's chief architect. According to Mustafa Waziri, he revolutionized architecture in antiquity and was later worshipped as the god of medicine. As per Egypt's Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, the objects were from the late period, which began around 500 BC. The artifacts included bronze vessels used in rituals of Isis, the goddess of fertility in ancient Egyptian mythology, said Mustafa Waziri, the head of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. Additionally discovered were earlier-era wooden statues of Nephthys and Isis, both with gilded faces, as well as a collection of jewelry and cosmetics, including coal containers, bracelets, and earrings. Experts will be able to determine whether the hieroglyphic papyrus found in the coffin is a part of the Book of the Dead after it is studied in the laboratory of the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. The papyrus is thought to be 9 meters long. A person's passage through the Duat, the underworld, and into the afterlife was facilitated by the religious and magical spells contained in the ancient funerary text known as the Book of the Dead. However, the term Book of the Dead does not refer to a single book, but to a collection of texts that were penned by numerous Egyptian priests over the course of about 1,000 years. Pyramid of Unknown Queen. In Giza, hundreds of tombs and mummies have been found in 2022 by archaeologists on the 100th anniversary of the discovery of King Tut's tomb. Recent discoveries by archaeologists include the pyramid of an unknown ancient Egyptian queen, a cache of coffins, mummies, and artifacts, as well as a network of connected tunnels. Archaeologists have been working at Saqqara, an archaeological site in Giza about 20 miles south of Cairo, for the past 2 years. They recently came across a cache of coffins and mummies that may be those of King Tut's closest generals and advisors from the time of his rule, which lasted from 1333 BC to his death in 1323 BC. In addition, they concentrated on a nearby pyramid that belonged to Teti, the first king of Egypt's 6th dynasty. According to Zehi Hawass, an Egyptologist working on the dig who formerly served as Egypt's Minister of Antiquities, people wanted to be buried close to Teti because he was worshipped as a god during the New Kingdom. The majority of previously discovered graves in Saqqara, however, came from either the Old Kingdom or the Late Period. Hawass explained that currently we have discovered 22 interconnected shafts with New Kingdom burials that range in depth from 30 to 60 feet. archaeologists discovered 300 exquisite coffins from the New Kingdom period buried within these shafts, along with a massive limestone sarcophagus. This is entirely unique to the site, according to Hawass, who noted that burials from the New Kingdom were not previously known to be frequent in the region. He further explained that the coffins are decorated with scenes from the Book of the Dead, an ancient Egyptian funerary text, and each one has a distinct face that distinguishes between men and women. Each coffin also bears the deceased's name and frequently depicts the 4 sons of Horus who guarded the body's organs. And if finding the coffins wasn't astonishing enough, the researchers were shocked when they opened the coffins and found the mummies in good shape, even after all these years and all these centuries. This demonstrates that mummification peaked in the New Kingdom, according to Hawass. The most amazing coffin so far has a woman's mask made entirely of solid gold, and some coffins have 2 lids. Hawass added that there are also many artifacts inside the coffins and tomb shafts, including games like the ancient game of Senet, Shaptis, small figurines, statues of the god Ptah Sokar, and even a metal axe found in the hand of an army soldier. A pyramid honoring a queen whose identity was previously unknown was also discovered by the researchers. She had no prior mention in the historical record, and we later learned her name was Neith, notes Hawass. He says that it's amazing to literally add a new queen to our records, rewriting what we know of history. The Grand Egyptian Museum in Giza, which is scheduled to open in 2023, will feature a selection of the coffins and artifacts discovered at the excavation site. Oldest tomb oriented to winter solstice. In November 2022, a team from Spain's University of Malaga and the University of Jaén announced the discovery of Egypt's oldest tomb, which is oriented toward the sunrise on the winter solstice. A statue of a governor of the city of Elephantine who lived at the end of the 12th dynasty of Egypt, roughly 1830 BCE, is now obscured by the sun's rays every year on the shortest day. The team explained in a paper published in Mediterranean Archaeology and Archaeometry that an Egyptian architect used a 2-cubit pole about 3 foot long, a square, and some robes to calculate the orientation of the entire chapel and the location of the governor's statue in order to achieve a perfect orientation with the sun. Using these measurements, the tomb perfectly registered the entire solar cycle, which is associated with the concept of rebirth and renewal. The winter solstice represented the beginning of the sun's victory over darkness as the day lengthened, whereas the summer solstice generally coincided with the start of the Nile River's annual flooding. Both of these events had significant symbolism associated with the governor's resurrection. This governor's tomb was listed as number 33 and may have been constructed by Governor Hageb Ankh. The excavation took place between 2008 and 2018. This study shows the Egyptians were able to calculate the sun's position and ray orientation when creating their monuments. Although Qubet al-Tum Hawar's number 33 is the oldest example ever discovered, it is undoubtedly not the only one, the team said in a statement. 3,000-year-old lost city. The city of Aten, a 3,000-year-old lost city, was discovered in Egypt in April 2021. This discovery has been hailed as the most important since the discovery of the tomb of the boy king Tutankhamun by both Egyptologists and archaeologists. King Amenhotep III, the 9th king of the 18th dynasty of ancient Egypt, is thought to have found the lost city. According to the Washington Post, Aten, which was located in the southern city of Luxor, is believed to have been the largest administrative and industrial settlement during that time. According to a mission member, the discovery of this city provides a unique window into life in ancient Egypt during the height of the empire. What they discovered was the location of a substantial city in good preservation, with nearly complete walls and rooms stocked with necessities of daily life. There were many homes in the city, some of which had walls that were almost 10 feet high. On wine jars, rings, scarabs, pottery, and mud bricks that also happened to be inscribed with King Amenhotep III's cartouche hieroglyphic writings were discovered. Mummification Workshop. At an ancient necropolis south of Cairo, archaeologists in Egypt made a brand new discovery that dates back more than 2,500 years. It was found in 2016 close to Egypt's renowned pyramids. The discovery, which is made at the Saqqara necropolis of Memphis, the first capital of ancient Egypt, includes a mummification workshop and a shaft that served as a place for communal burial. The three famous Giza pyramids are among the many temples and tombs that can be found in Memphis, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The most recent discovery, which was made public during a press conference, dates to the Sate Persian period between 664 and 404 BC. The site, which is south of the Unas Pyramid, underwent its most recent excavation in 1900, more than a century ago. An embalmer's cachette containing a sizable collection of pottery jars, bowls, and measuring cups was discovered in the mummification workshop. The discoveries, according to archaeologists, will shed more light on the oils used in mummification during the 26th dynasty. Valley of the Golden Mummies. The Valley of the Golden Mummies is a significant Greco-Roman burial site located in Bahariya Oasis in Egypt's western desert. Over the course of several seasons, about 250 mummies that were roughly 2,000 years old were recovered after being found in 1996 by Zahi Hawass and his Egyptian team. Ultimately, the excavator estimated that there were more than 10,000 mummies in total. When Hawass and his team found the mummies, many of them were still in good shape. They had a variety of decorations, and each mummy had been interred with objects: jewelry bracelets, food trays made of pottery, wine jars, and Ptolemaic coins are a few examples. Roman-era mummies discovered in tombs in the Bahariya Oasis demonstrate how affluent the population was by virtue of the gilding and cartonnage that depicted lovely scenes. The various designs and artifacts that represent each individual make each mummy unique. Pyramid Age Papyri. A team of archaeologists led by Pierre Tallet and Gregory Marawad announced in 2013 the discovery of a port built along the Red Sea around 4,500 years ago during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. Among the discoveries are papyri that discuss the construction of the Great Pyramid of Giza, the largest pyramid ever built. According to the papyri, the limestone used in the Great Pyramid's outer casing was transported from a quarry in Tura to Giza via the Nile River and a series of canals. Based on the papyri, a boat trip between Tura and Giza took about 4 days. The papyri also revealed how long Khufu ruled Egypt, and that in his 27th year, a vizier named Ankaf was in charge of pyramid construction. It is thought to be the world's oldest inscribed papyrus. Oxyrhynchus Papyri. The Oxyrhynchus Papyri are a collection of ancient texts written on papyrus that were discovered in the town of Oxyrhynchus in Egypt. The texts include a wide variety of documents from the Ptolemaic period of 323 to 30 BC and the Roman period 30 BC to 284 AD, including religious texts, legal documents, letters, and literary works. The texts were discovered in the late 19th and early 20th centuries by a team of British archaeologists led by Bernard Grenfell and Arthur Hunt. The papyri were found in rubbish dumps and were in a poor state of preservation. Despite this, the texts have been able to be deciphered and have provided valuable insights into the history and culture of ancient Egypt. The Silver King. Archaeologist Pierre Montet discovered the tomb of Susenus I, a pharaoh who ruled Egypt approximately 3,000 years ago. In 1939, Tanis, a Nile Delta city, was the site of his burial chamber. Montet discovered that the pharaoh was buried in a silver coffin wearing a magnificent gold burial mask. Susenus I was known as the Silver King because of his silver coffin. Tomb KV5. Tomb KV5 is an ancient Egyptian tomb located in the Valley of the Kings in Luxor, Egypt. The tomb was discovered in the 20th century and is thought to be the burial place of the sons of Pharaoh Ramses II, who ruled Egypt in the 13th century BC. The tomb is known for its size and the number of chambers it contains. It is one of the largest tombs in the Valley of the Kings, with more than 120 chambers. The tomb was originally designed to hold the bodies of more than 60 princes, but only a few have been found. The tomb was not properly excavated until the 1990s, when a team of archaeologists led by Kent Weeks began a detailed exploration of the site. The team discovered many artifacts and inscriptions in the tomb, including a large number of shabtis, which were small figurines that were placed in tombs to serve the deceased in the afterlife. Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone is an ancient stone slab with inscriptions on it that were written in 3 scripts: ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics, Demotic script, and ancient Greek. It was discovered in 1799 by French soldiers who were rebuilding a fort near the town of Rosetta in Egypt. The inscriptions on the stone are a decree issued by a council of priests in 196 BC during the reign of Pharaoh Ptolemy V. The decree is written in all three scripts, which allowed scholars to use the stone as a key to decipher the hieroglyphic script. The stone is now on display at the British Museum in London, England. It is considered one of the most important archaeological artifacts ever discovered, as it helps scholars understand the ancient Egyptian language and culture.